G'day team, welcome back once again. I recently bought a Boswell Tigforce 200P welder from eBay, it's a China special, and had a few questions about the contents of the box and the way the machine works I couldn't answer before I bought it. So to save some other folks the same worries that I had, I thought I'd run through a little bit about this welder. Now I have a giant caveat, I'm not a welder. You can barely call what I do welding, and I can hardly identify a welder on a good day. But I'm here to learn, and I need this for an upcoming project. Furthermore, this isn't an unboxing video. Can you tell? Because it's already out of its box. Nor a review. Again, I'm not even going to pretend that I know enough about welding to offer an informed opinion on the product. I'm just going to talk a little bit about what was in the box and what I wanted to know. The big thing that drew me to the Boswell was that it was a TIG stick welder with a high frequency start for around $500. At the time I thought that was brilliant. Additionally, it had 200 amp rated current, plus pulse capability and a 60% duty cycle at that 200 amps. Keep in mind that these figures are what was quoted on the advertising material and should probably be taken with a rather large grain of salt. So what was in the box? There was an earth clamp, an arc stick torch holder thing, a TIG torch, a bunch of TIG consumables, and also the welder itself. In addition to that, there was this argon gas regulator over here that came as the free gift that you get in these eBay style things or purchases. The earth clamp feels pretty sturdy. Yeah, it's got a bit of spring to it. It's got a good earthing point behind it, and the cables all feel reasonably decent. The stick holder seems a little bit plasticky, but it doesn't seem too bad. The TIG torch comes with a bunch of consumables, as I mentioned. So in this bag we have a single piece of tungsten. It's unlabeled, don't know what type it is. We have a couple of gas cups. We have a couple of collets, a collet holder, a long back end, and then the short back end to the actual torch itself. The TIG torch itself feels pretty sturdy. However, the trigger seems to lack a little bit of feel, and I don't know how that will go with gloves on. But we'll see how it goes after a bit of use. The torch does have a nice little gimbal at the back here that seems to relieve the weight of the cable on the torch, so that might make it a bit nicer. I don't know if normal TIG torches have these, but the one that I learnt to weld with didn't. The argon regulator has a barbed connection for an 8mm internal diameter hose. I was going to use a high quality gas line like from an oxy torch, but I was advised by the guy at the local tool store just to use some clear vinyl hose. It's cheaper and it works well, so I'm just using vinyl hose and hose clamps to connect the regulator to the welder. Obviously not pictured here. Now there's the Boswell TIG unit itself. It's surprisingly light and the plastic housing feels reasonably sturdy. The rear has a barbed gas connection. So another gas connection just here, and then we have the main power lead coming out of there, currently fitted with a 15 amp Australian standard wall socket plug. The front of the machine itself, we have the current indicator, we have the current switch, or the selector switch, we have the post flow control switch, we have the power on and off button, we've got the TIG or stick selector, that's a warning over temp problem light. That's the power applied light. And this little switch here is an interesting one. This is the pulse. So when the switch is down in this position, it means that it's no pulse, it's just plain direct current. Well, even with pulse it's direct current, but it's just plain direct current. When the switch is up here in the center pit position, it's a 200 Hertz pulse. And when the switch is up here in the top position, that's a 2 Hertz pulse. So it's cool the system has pulse, and I thought it was a nifty thing, and it kind of tipped me over the edge as to why to buy it. But the only selections you have are 2 Hertz, 200 Hertz, or off. So that's a little concerning. I don't know what the duty cycle is in that 200 Hertz. I don't know how much it drops out, whether it averages around the current or whether it goes, that's the peak and then it drops down to something else. I'm unsure. I'm sure I'll work it out. But for the moment, I'm not too sure how it all works. Also the post flow or the ramp down. There's no 2T, 4T switch on this, or selector for 2T or 4T. So all this does, from what I can read in the manual, is change the time it takes for the current to ramp down and turn off. Fixed interval gas post flow, from what I can read, and this just changes your current ramp down. So that's what's in the box, and all that I have left to do now is to give it a go. I'm not going to film any welding because I don't have appropriate filters and I don't really want to toast my camera. In case you can't tell, it's a new camera. I like it. But bear with me, I'll get right back to you and I'll show you what I've done. And I'm back. I've done a bit of welding, as you can see. I've had to play with it. I've also got a welding cart for my welder now, so that makes it a little bit more portable. You can probably tell that we're in a different place. We're now upstairs. What you can see in front of you is a pretty big project. It currently weighs in at around about 60 kilograms or 130 pounds. I don't want to move that up and down stairs from my normal workshop, so I'm just in the back corner of my garage. So on to the meat of the matter. Arc welder worked great. You can see a photo now of what it actually looked like. That's actually deep inside that tube, about 400 million, and it came out pretty well. Didn't hit any duty cycle issues. I was using 3.2 millimeter rods, 6013 I believe, and went through about 6 of them in 5 minutes to 10 minutes. So it powered through them without a problem, and that wasn't even at the maximum setting. And TIG welding. So I learnt how to TIG weld originally. And I prefer doing that over anything else. For me, it's easier. Some people tell me it's hard. It's just like soldering to me, so I don't mind it. That being said, my TIG welding ranges from okay, you can see here, through to absolutely horrendous, which you can see down here. So onto the actual welder itself. The TIG button said it was lacking a bit of feel, and we'll see how it turns out. So it actually, you can feel it pretty well, and it's not an issue. The only issue I have with it is there's no options for 2T or 4T. So that when you hit the button and it starts its HF excitation, or the high frequency excitation to get the arc started, it actually starts pretty well and it works well. But if you release the button immediately, it doesn't stop. I think it goes straight into the ramp down time. But if it's still trying to start the arc and hasn't started it, it sits there and does a bit of a high frequency buzz for a bit and will actually arc and start even though you've released the button. So it's 2T function, but if it hasn't started the arc, it will continue trying to start even if you've released the button until it hits the end of its ramp down time. That's what I think's happening. I haven't gone and checked it in detail because I don't really want to risk hurting myself or damaging anything. That being said, the HF start works really well. You put it near the job, hit the button, and that arc starts up straight away, no problem. In fact, I'm very, very impressed with how well that high frequency start goes. Made everything a lot easier. Gas regulator. So it came with the gas regulator, the eBay special. It worked. Had a broken O-ring, so I wanted to replace the O-ring. Just another Bunnings special. It was working a bit funny at the start. When you plugged the regulator in, you had it all connected, and you let some gas flow. It was only giving me 10 litres an hour of flow as a maximum flow rate. That was below what I expected and below what I wanted to use. So I wound it up to the maximum, thinking it might come good. And then it was working as I expected, nothing fancy. And then after a while, it started getting a bit aggressive, and I was actually blowing molten metal across my job. So I don't know if it was something in the TIG torch or whatever, but when I went and looked at it again, the actual flow rate was off the scale. It just the ball slammed to the top of the scale and sat there the whole time. So I turned it down a whole heap, had another look at my regulator, and then realised that I had lost 50 MPa out of 200 worth of gas due to having that flow rate up too high. Don't know what caused it to start with. Kind of bummed about losing that much gas because it's expensive, but we'll see what comes out of it. So the regulator actually works out a problem. It was just a weird thing at the start. Don't know what caused it. The duty cycle of the machine, I did not have a single problem with the duty cycle. The material you're looking at there is minimum 10 millimeters thick, ranging to 25 mil thick in some points, mild steel. And I had the machine running about 80% of capacity the whole time. And the duty cycle limiting factors came down to myself or the torch. And on that note, the long end of the torch actually broke off. So that is missing the brass part that goes in there that screws into the back of the torch. That happened because the torch hit its duty cycle. Got a little bit toasty, got my bit of spatter on my tungsten, so I went to pull it out, and the plastic whipped off in my hand and the metal stayed in the torch body. That was a little bit annoying. Thankfully those are about $7 a pop down at Bunnings, so I just replaced that one. Other than that, the machine was fantastic. The pulse function, when I first started using it, I left the pulse on by accident just from when I was playing around with the setting switches before. I couldn't work out why it was making weird noises. I did work it out, and I'm not sure about the pulse function. It did actually pulse. How effective it is, I don't know. I just turned that off straight away and went straight back into normal old DC TIG. So overall, it works. As you can tell, there is bits of metal glued to other bits of metal. I got better. It was good to get back into practice actually. I quite enjoy doing a bit of welding. I couldn't do it full time, but I do enjoy a little bit of it. But yeah, it works. It does what it needs to do, and I'm actually pretty happy with it. And as I said, that high frequency star is brilliant. I'm really glad that I paid a little bit extra to get one with a high frequency star instead of just getting one of the smaller inverter units that use the lift off or scratch TIG. However, here comes the kicker. The other day I was in Trade Tools just browsing through, buying something else, but wanted to stick my head into the welding department. And they have a rather large AC-DC machine with much more adjustability, and it's only $200 more than what I paid for this one. It has a lower duty cycle, which reported around 20% from memory. But the question is it better? I don't know. It's $200 more. It has a lower duty cycle, but it's got so much more adjustability and so much more versatility, and can even do aluminium, which mine can't. That's up for you to decide, but I don't know. Either way, Boswell Tigforce 200P, it works, it glues metal together, it's affordable, the high frequency start's excellent. Once again, not a review, but if you want one, it's not a bad one. And thanks for watching, guys. I hope you got something out of this, and I just want to say that this is not paid content. Boswell I paid them, they didn't pay me. I needed a TIG for that job. That's my lathe, by the way. I'll probably put some videos up later on or some pictures. It's cool. It's going to be a lathe. Thanks for watching again, guys, and have a good day.